Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the November 1st Landmarks Preservation and Parks Committee meeting. If everyone would please sign your name and your affiliation into the chat, that will help. I'm just going to do a brief scan to see if there are any the committee members who are present. And we'll be starting the meeting very shortly. We have a very full agenda today, so let me share my screen and get the agenda up before we call the meeting to a conclusion. And everyone that's here present in the room, if you could please sign in the attendance sheet. Another minute or so. I'm Heather Jason, and we have Annette Robinson. We're the co-chairs of the Landmarks Preservation and Parks Committee. Thank you, everyone, for please. Chair, Mr. Victor Edwards in person with us, along with another committee member. Elisa, would you like to introduce yourself, please? Good afternoon. My name is Alyssa. I'm trying to are there any other members? Are there any other committee members online? If you're online virtual and you're committee member, please let us know. Because if you're not present, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to attention in another minute. If you didn't introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry. Hey, y'all. Good evening, April Adams. Thank you for being here.
And I only have 46 people online. How many? 46 people so far. And that's just online, not counting who's here. And everyone, please sign into the chat, your name and your affiliation. I'm going to go through to make sure that.
Do we determine if anyone is online?
We haven't answered yet. We're going to call the meeting to attention at 6:35 p.m. Everyone, welcome. We have the agenda. Again, please sign your name into the chat and your affiliation, your full name. Thank you so much, and we're going to go ahead and we don't have a quorum. Looks like we have we have 4 committee members in present, who are here in present. And possibly 1 person online. I think I see Hugo online, virtual. So, Leslie Wright, are you ready?
Hi, sure. Thank you so much for having me. Hello from New York State Parks here in New York City. That's Harlem outside my window. So at Denny Farrell Riverbank State Park, our fall programming is in full swing. The track and field is all done. If you haven't been out there to see it, please go. It's really great, and we've got, you know, casual users, permitted users, organized user groups out there using it. It's just terrific. Um, our renovation of the locker rooms in the aquatics complex continues. The pool is open. Everything is running terrific. We have temporary trailerized shower facilities and restroom facilities for folks to use while the locker rooms are uh, undergoing a complete renovation. Excuse me, that'll be done sometime early next summer. We don't have a specific date yet, but so far so good with that. We are very eager to hear from folks what kind of programming, especially in athletics and our cultural department, folks would like to see more of at the park. So I'm going to put my email in the chat and invite each and every one of you, your friends, your neighbors, your community members, to just shoot me a quick email and say what you'd like to see more of, because we offer a whole lot, but we have more time and more space to offer more. I know there is, of course, a pickleball craze, so we're looking at that. No, we will not short shrift tennis in favor of pickleball, because we've heard that loud and clear too. But just let us know. Let us know what kind of music events or film events. We have open mic night in the theater. Let us know what you'd like to see more of. That would help us a lot. The only other thing I wanted to mention is that we do have an RFP out now, publicized, and thank you, Community Board 9, Heather and Yutha, for further publicizing it. Our skating rink snack bar. The contract is drawing to a close for the current operator, and we're looking to have new proposals for starting in the spring. Um, I lied. There's one more thing I want to mention. We are making ice now in our skating rink. Mother Nature is cooperating fully at the moment. The temperature dropped. So we have the first, it's layer by layer. It is an outdoor rink. We are over half of the way there. So, Heather, if there's uh, time for questions, I'd be happy to answer anybody's questions. And I'm putting my email in the chat right now to accept suggestions now or later, whenever you want, on additional programming.
Does anyone have any questions for Leslie Wright, the director for Denny Farrell Riverbank State Park? Just use the raise your hand function.
Hi, folks. It's Shannon. I'm reaching for the hand, but I haven't got.
Okay, go ahead, Shannon.
I was just going to ask. So Leslie, again, I live at 626 Riverview Towers at the corner of Riverside Drive and 139. I also have a western facing balcony, so I have the pleasure of looking at the field. I think the restorations were outstanding and fantastic. So congratulations again on that and on the lighting. I did want to give you an opportunity, though. It occurred to me really quickly that I remember a year or more ago when you came, and there were many conversations about the expansion to the community gardens and the collaboration with the port and all of that kind of thing. So now that you've had a summer season under the belt where there have been more planting boxes, there have been planting boxes that were elevated to accommodate ADA needs. There was a new you did a new round of assignment. How did all that work out this summer? How did that work?
It worked great. We hold a lottery for the community garden beds once every 2 years. It's in February every 2 years. And the lottery that we held in February 2023 was widely attended. We had big participation. It went very, very smoothly. And even though it just recently got cold, every single one of those 64 garden beds is still beautifully planted. You can still see things blooming, and so many luscious things. So it was very uneventful and smooth. Happy gardening season. We have a member of our greenhouse programming partner group, the Hort, here with us to present sometime right after me, and she can detail how things have been working programming wise, but it's been very smooth. A lot of happy people and growing beautiful vegetables and flowers.
Okay, are there any other additional questions for Leslie Wright? Okay, Leslie, thank you so much for your participation. We look forward to hearing from you monthly. Next, we have Mallory Craig. Mallory, are you on from the
Thank you
Greenhouse
all.
Gardens?
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Heather. My video doesn't seem to be working, but is everyone hearing me okay?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I'll hop off right where Leslie left off at the greenhouse in that at Riverbank State Park. And yeah, as Leslie was saying, it was a really sweet season. We're now in the season of harvest, and it's been so wonderful to watch the gardeners in the community garden just adjacent to our learning in greenhouse. As Leslie was sharing, it's through the lottery through the park, and a lot of folks were actually new gardeners and coming through the greenhouse during our open hours, which I also wanted to share with you all today. Many folks know about the wonderful events that are going on in the greenhouse, but for the community gardeners and for anyone really interested in dipping their toes in gardening, we invite folks just to come through the greenhouse at any time between 10 a.m. And 4 p.m. 7 days a week. And a staff will just kind of welcome you. You can kind of dip your toes in some gardening questions. And often that was a place where the community gardeners new and more seasoned. If there wasn't staff who could answer a gardening question, then often it was like, it's just a gathering space for people to kind of share knowledge. And yeah, it's been beautiful. We've been, so as folks prepare their beds for the winter, we're also doing the same in the learning garden and greenhouse at the park. And so we'll be we have classes in addition to open hours, like between 5 to 6 days a week, usually in the evening. We also have weekend day programming. So I invite you to come through for those. And we had a lovely time with our therapeutic horticulture folks over at the Harvest Fest that Denny Farrell Riverbank State Park welcomed us and hosted with it. And we're going to continue that fun actually this weekend. So if you would like, if you haven't seen those community gardens or the learning garden, I invite you. Yeah, it's full of marigolds and everything right now. So come through this Saturday. We're going to have some folks cooking Ethiopian and Jamaican food to talk about culturally responsive harvests. We're going to be having folks painting collective murals, and what else do we got? Some recipes and rituals for healing in this colder weather. So that'll be this Saturday, 9:30 to 12 p.m. to continue the fun of the park Harvest Fest. And otherwise, yeah, we just come through the greenhouse. We also have started our internship program. We're welcoming field trips. So if any of those things interest you, please reach out to me. As you're reaching out to Leslie about ideas you have, keep in the things you want to see at the park. Keep in mind gardening, and we'd love to accommodate those at the greenhouse as well. If anyone has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer.
Are there any questions? Please use the raise hand function and we'll recognize you. Or if you're in person, just let us know. Does anyone have a question or just chime in? We have 75 people online, so please, everyone, sign your name and affiliation in the chat so that we can recognize you in the future. And if we don't already have, excuse me.
Oh, it's bad. Sam, can you mute Sam, or can someone mute Sam?
Yeah, but I was gonna say something. I don't know if this is the opportunity.
Sam, if you have a question for Mallory Craig, go ahead regarding the greenhouse and community gardens at Denny Farrell Riverboat State Park.
Sorry, yeah, the call's been dropping in and out. I joined late on the subway and I just got above ground. So it's not specific to
Do you
that
have,
topic.
do you have a question?
Yeah,
Okay,
I was told to join
does
this
anyone
call
have
about,
any?
I was told to join this call about
Okay,
playground at Columbia Secondary School. I don't know if this is the forum for that.
no, we're not at that point yet. We're asking for any questions for Denny Farrell Riverbank State Park. If you just joined the call, please sign your name and contact information in the chat if you haven't already done so. Okay, Mallory, thank you so much. Next, we're going to move the agenda along and we're going to Wesley Hamilton with Riverside Park and West Harlem Piers Park. Are you on, Wesley?
I believe Wesley's out of town. I don't know if there's anybody else from Riverside speaking on his behalf.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Matt. So we'll move it along then to Stephanie from Riverside Park Conservancy.
Hi
Stephanie,
everyone.
are you on?
Yep, I'm on. And I
great.
just have updates. I don't have any of Wes's updates, but hopefully he'll be on next month. Hello, I'm Stephanie Shiea, the North Park Outreach Coordinator for Riverside Park. A couple quick things, and then I would love for Shannon to jump in because we have some really exciting updates happening in the dog run. So I'd love for him to jump in. So Shannon, get ready. We had a really great Oktoberfest at our pop-up restaurant type deal on 151st and Riverside Drive this past weekend. Stay tuned if there are any more to learn about any more like pop-up restaurant type deals in that specific area. That's something new that we're working on. We have a leaf lift coming up. It's a really exciting event in the park where you get to rake leaves and jump in them. We are going to be mulching those leaves and using those as part of our compost system. So if you want to come for this family friendly event, it's November 18th from 10 to 1 at 148th Street and Riverside Drive. I feel like I had one more update and I'm not remembering it right now. But I'll put my email in the chat if anybody wants to learn anything about any of our events at Riverside Park. It is starting to get colder, so we are winding down. But Shannon, if you can talk a little bit about what's been going on at the dog run, because I know you have some events coming up or want to report on some past events, as well as an update from your collaboration with Shauna Brady, that would be awesome.
Sure, happy to. So quickly, and Heather and Annette, this will also provide an update to the listing on their old business updates. So at the conclusion of these updates, the item regarding the West 142nd Street dog run, lighting and the trash receptacles, that line item can be removed. So back on October 18th, we had our Halloween holiday dog costume and dog owners costume party with the support of the Conservancy. We had donuts and coffee. We had a lot of great dog owners. We had a lot of great dogs. If you're interested in pictures, they're all on our Instagram, which is, we'd always appreciate another follow. That's Dog Run 142 on Instagram. We just created our flyer for our Christmas event. We'll be working with the Conservancy and the Parks Department to put in a permit. We plan to do our second annual Christmas event this year. We'll have Santa for pictures with puppies. We'll do probably some light refreshments. And I also want to compliment the local businesses that we've fostered relationships with that often make donations to our event. The dog run has always taken great pride in trying to partner with our local businesses, but more importantly, be bigger than just the individuals who use the dog run space. With regarding the two updates, the lighting line item was our support of trying to do what we could since we were so close to the comfort station at the Riverside playground there at West 142nd Riverside Drive. To my knowledge, the lighting has the water main break that compromised the lighting and electricity All of that's been addressed. So the comfort station's been open since prior to the summer. The lighting's been restored. The usage of the park's been restored. We were happy to be present and help to let parks know when folks like Con Ed and others were around to just be a good neighbor and a good communication venue since we were so close and often in our dog run. The greatest update we have is we owe Yuan Chen a huge thanks for her support, as well as the Community Board 9. Approximately a year and change ago, we came to this venue with an idea to address the absence of trash receptacles on the east side of Riverside Drive, north of 135th Street, all the way up to 144. The dog run community at dog run 142 often hears some criticism with regards to bad dog owner behavior, with regards to picking up waste and other items. We kind of push back on those criticisms, saying our dog owners and our dog owners are very responsible. There are more dog owners in our community than just the folks who use the dog run. But we wanted to see it as a challenge to see what we could do to contribute to our community and better some things. So we made a proposal to this body. This body felt that our proposal might be better directed to Sean Avery's office and the district council member's office. Yuan Chen was an extraordinary resource in giving us some guidance, giving me personally some guidance on how to shape that proposal, put it in front of Sean's office. I'm happy to say, with Sean's assistant, Jalissa, who was our primary contact a year later, there are brand new trash receptacles on Riverside Drive on the east side, 2 at every intersection from West 135th, 136, 137, 138, 139, 140, 141, and 142. We've put those pictures up on our Instagram. Those trash receptacles are the older style city wire garbage cans, but there was nothing there before, so this is a wonderful improvement, and they're already being used. There are many times, twice a day, I take my dog to the dog run. I'm seeing garbage in these garbage cans. I'm hoping to see less garbage on the sidewalk. I'm hoping that more dog owners act responsibly in that stretch. And we look forward to continue working with the council member, the community board, and our wonderful sponsor, the Riverside Park and Servicey, and maybe expanding that service further north of 142. But we just want to say thank you for the support. We've come to realize that all good things take time. That's hard for me to learn because I'm very impatient, but this is a win across the board. And we just want to thank everybody for the assistance in making it happen, especially the council member.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Does anyone have any questions for Shannon? Okay, I'm going to again request that everyone on the call, please make sure that you signed into the chat. And I see that there is another Heather online here. Would you please provide your last name so that I don't confuse you with myself? Okay, but if you just joined the call, please make sure that you sign your full name into the chat, your affiliation and contact information so that we can stay in touch with you. Next, we have, unless there are any other questions for the Shannon, the dog run. Okay, so let's move right along then to Friends of St. Nicholas Park. Is Karen Asner on? I didn't see her yet.
I'll say that.
What about Brad Taylor?
I see Brad, yeah.
Brad, are you on yet?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, great.
Can you-
Hi, Brad.
Hi.
From Friends of Morningside Park, Brad Taylor.
Yes. So similar to what Shannon did, I'd like to combine my report with the old business item, which is the plaque that we've been working on at the pond. So things are going well in Morningside Park. I'm sure Matt can fill you in more. He's the manager, so he's the guy that really knows. But from our end, we're pleased that we're going to be having our tree lighting on December 9th. You're all invited. If it doesn't happen December 9th, I guess we'll talk to Matt about when it can be rescheduled, but hopefully the weather will hold for us. And we'll see you out there on December 9th at, I think it's 5 o'clock. But you can get all the details on our website, morningsidepark.org. And you can find out about all the other volunteer opportunities in Morningside Park. So we'd love to have you get involved. I mean, I see, what is it, some 87, 90 people, participants. online, many from the schools right to the north of the park. So please join your local friends group and help us out in Morningside Park. We have volunteer events every Friday from 9 to 11. We also have a second Saturday event that goes on second Saturdays from 10 to 12. We'd love to see you helping out. So as far as the plaque at the pond goes, this has been an ongoing discussion that we've been having at the community board level and also in the Friends of Morningside Park for many years. It's now been picked up by parks. So I had a conversation with Jonathan Kuhn, who does monuments. Jonathan is not a fan of any permanent markers, but he said he would consider it and get back to us, and I haven't heard back from him yet on that. So that's really my update. It's good to see everyone here. I was chair of this committee at one point, and if we had 90 people in our meetings, I would have been thrilled. So thanks for coming out, everyone.
What type of plaque is that?
I agree. Excellent. Yes, we have 91 people online. So thank you everyone for coming. We want to make sure we recognize you. So again, please make sure that you sign into the chat with your email address, contact information and affiliation. So next we're going to move the agenda on. Let's
just a moment. I just want to tell Brad, thank you. And I also just want to echo the sentiment that it's good to hear that Parks is considering the plaque, but we also must understand how important it is that those African-American students at Columbia University came together, being a demonstration of what it looks like to say, not to take no for an answer. So we need to lead by their example. So hopefully we can make this happen.
Yeah, thanks for that comment, Annette. And I just wanted, many people may not know what we're talking about. So in 1968, Columbia wanted to build a gymnasium in Morningside Park. The community came together to stop that project. It's a real victory for community involvement, community activism, and there's nothing there at the pond that really makes note of that incredible effort. So we would like to see a plaque there so that people standing in that spot recognize its historic significance, not only in Morningside Park, but throughout the city and in parks everywhere, that community activism really can play a positive role in preserving our open spaces.
Thank you so much, Brad. So now we're going to go and let's see, we're going to hear from Parks, New York City Parks, from Matt.
Hey everyone. So I don't have too many updates, but let's see, last month I had spoke that the path work in St. Nicholas Park would be starting soon. So the contractor has started to mobilize in the park, doing some tree pruning work. And as of this week, the paths in St. Nicholas Park, north of 135th on the lower path, and then north of the dog run on the upper path, will be closed for state of good repair for asphalt work. And they're expecting that work to be finished by the end of winter, with it just being asphalt replacement. And you know, Brad, we always appreciate all the support that Friends of Morningside gives to parks to care for Morningside Park. So those are all really the updates that I have. So we'll move on to the rest of the agenda unless anyone has any specific questions before we move on.
Matt, you know I do. April Adams, thank you. I know we spoke earlier today about the pass, but just to confirm, so the basketball courts over there, like closer to Hamilton Grange itself, and that playground, will those be closed as well? What you like? No, those.
No, all the playgrounds within St. Nicholas Park will remain open.
Okay, great. Okay, and how should folks access? Because I didn't realize that the entrance on 141st and St. Nicholas would be closed. How what's the best way for folks to get into the playground and the basketball court?
There's multiple entrances off of St. Nicholas Avenue. at 140th. There's a ramped entrance into the playground by the seating area, and then there's a set of steps also off of St. Nicholas Avenue into the basketball court area.
Perfect. And then my last question is with the path project near the Hamilton Grange, I know the state. Do we know?
April, you just broke up. Could you repeat your question?
Where exactly will the path project with parks end? Like, because I know that New York State owns property, like a piece of like the park, I guess. Like, where is exactly the line, I guess?
So on the upper path, the work is gonna be from 139th to about 136th Street in St. Nicholas Terrace. So it'll be that lower section north of the dog run. I don't know if there's that staircase that goes up to that kind of upper level right before the Hamilton House. That will not be, unfortunately, part of the scope of this work.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Hi, Matt. This is Annette Robinson, the new co-chair of Landmarks. How are you?
Good.
Good. Now, before we lead into the next hot ticket item that all of the 97 people are here for, I just want to ask, are you going to be able to give some insight to the access of the playground on PS 125? Because I don't believe Steve Simon is on with us tonight.
I don't have a lot of specific information. I learned last night that this was on the agenda, so I tried to get as much information as I could. So I can share what was shared with me as far as the playground, the multi-purpose area schoolyard at Ralph Bunch. So from what I've been told, Parks and SEA is working to get the playground open as quickly as possible. Even though it may appear that the playground renovation has been complete, there's still some more work to be done. On October 19th, Parks and SEA met to discuss some punch list items that needed to be addressed in the area. The SEA has promised to take care of those issues as quickly as possible to get the site opened. I was also told they're working on discussing logistical details for the ongoing care and maintenance of the site with SEA once it's open. And that's basically what was shared with me. So no specifics on timing on when we'll actually get the site opened. I want it opened as much as everybody else. You know, the site's there we want the public to be able to use, you know, what looks like a beautiful site to be accessible to the school and the public. So that's what was shared with me at this time.
Matt, can you just provide us with the initials, what the SEA stands for?
It's a school construction authority. It's either authority or association. I believe it's authority, though. I can look it up really quick.
Oh, SCA, School Construction Authority. Okay.
Okay, Matt, is there a contact person that's strictly responsible for this playground that the parent associations can now speak with, that can really give them a clearer timeline or all those punch items that you're talking about?
I don't know the answer to that question, so I'll have to get back to the board that can provide who would be the best contact for more detailed information.
Okay.
So I'm making a note of that to follow up with our agency.
Okay, we have one of our committee members, Shanika Wilson. Shanika, would you like to say something on this issue, since you're very familiar with it, before we let the parents speak? Shanika, are you there?
Hi, yeah. Hi, Annette. I'm here. Hi, everyone. I can't turn my camera right this second. I'm indisposed, but give me a moment. But thank you everyone for being here. What I will just say, I don't know enough. I was looking forward to hearing more from some parks officials. I appreciate the update, but this park has been under construction for over a year. The construction crews have left. The park remains empty and unused. And what we were told months ago at the end of, I believe, the summer, was that the school would be able to use it. So now here we are 3 months into the school year or 2 months into the school year, and there's been no update. So I don't have any answers. I'm here because I also have questions and I want to try to get this solved for the parents. Many of the parents on this call have emailed me as well. So we're doing our best to reach out to the appropriate people, but we need them to engage as well. So it's going to be an ongoing fight, and I hope you all are ready to hang in there with us.
The other thing, I don't see, I was looking at the list of representatives from Parks. I don't see anyone else from Parks on, but I don't know if there's somebody from SCA on this call that might be able to weigh in with any more information.
Many people were invited to the meeting from Parks, just so you're aware. So I'm certain I speak for others when I say I appreciate your feedback and your being here. It's very appreciated and grateful. Other people who have been involved with this project have been invited and have decided not to show up tonight. So it is disappointing.
Deidre McIntosh Brown is also a committee member. Deidre, would you like to add something as well?
Oh, hi, thank you, Annette, and hi, Matt. I think Shanika said a lot before the parents get on, that we were told the very same thing, that this park has been on the renovation. We've seen it go up, and that at some point in time that it would be available for this semester for use. And I think one of the things is the lack of communication between the community board, Parks, SCA, and even the schools that are the 3 schools that are there in the community surrounding. We would like to have more communication. I mean, just saying that there's a punch list that's not completed, and this is not towards you, Matt, is just not enough. It's just not enough. We see the beautiful park sitting there, as Shanika stated, and school is getting cold, right? And even the times that the children, there are 3 schools right there, when they'll be able to use it, when will the community be able to use it? I think there just needs to be a lot more communication, more open communication between everyone that's involved, all parties, the principals, the community, as you know, and you, Matt, the Parks Department. If you don't have the answer, and it's a park, it's a playground, it's right, right across the street, it's in your domain, that's kind of, not acceptable.
Is someone from CEC?
Say that again.
Is someone from CEC 5 on or no?
I have a question, Matt. This is Heather. I'm just wondering if you have any idea what the punch list items are, or if you don't know, that's fine. If you can find out for us what the specific punch list items are. That would be helpful. I did have an opportunity to visit the site this afternoon, and I noticed there were quite a number of construction vehicles in the path on the street, right across from the entrance door of the school and the playground. So looks like a construction site to me. So I'm just wondering, I'm curious about what the punch list items are.
I guess we'll have to circle back from, I tried to get information prior to this meeting. So we will circle back and figure out who, a community liaison should be for this, to get everybody on the same page, as Deidre had mentioned.
It looks like a principal is on the call and has some updates. Should we let them speak?
Yeah, we're just, is there any other committee members or community board members who have questions before we,
I do, Heather. I don't know if you can hear me. This is Patricia Caldwell.
Oh, thank you,
How
Patricia.
are
Go
you?
ahead.
Hi, Matt. First of all, thank you for attending the meeting, and hello, everyone. I missed you very much. Matt, because you come from the Department of Parks, I understand that there's a person who is in charge of this particular district or in this area of the parks and recreation. Who would that person be? Is that you?
Well, so I'm in charge of the maintenance and operation of the site. So once the site is turned over to me,
Who's your
like
supervisor?
a capital project. I mean,
Who's your supervisor?
I report to staff at
Direct.
our borough office.
Who's the
Like our chief of
Matt?
operations.
Matt, a really direct question. Who is the person that you report to directly in charge of this area? I understand that during the pandemic, there was someone that came in, that left and came in, and that would be the person that would give the okay as to the events that go on in the park. Who is your direct supervisor?
I mean, I would be like our deputy chief of operations. So it'd be,
What is his name?
So, like our deputy chief of operation, or our chief of operations is Paul Diamora. And our two deputy chiefs of operations are Ralph Mussolino and Bonnie Williams.
Okay, there was a Hispanic dude, and I'm sorry, Heather, that I don't remember. But being that you are from the Department of Parks, the onus is definitely on you, and we need some communication to make sure that our children in Community Board 9 have utilization of that park.
So, well, this is a SCA construction project being constructed by them to be turned over to parks. So
is FCA, I understand that they are no longer doing construction, is that correct?
Yeah, but they haven't handed it over to him yet. So the way the process works is that the SCA is responsible for everything. They are the ones that are in charge of finishing this and handing it off to the Parks Department. Matt is not the person that's going to be able to turn the switch on for us. So I've worked on my students are in District 5, but I'm not on the District 5 CEC. Usually, in most cases, the CEC would be able to help to expedite and streamline the conversations that you're trying to have in this space.
See, basically what we're trying to do is to get a definite, or someone give us an ETA. You know, we want to know when they're going to complete this, and we want to speak to that person that can tell us who's overseeing this construction and when our children may be able to use their neighborhood.
So,
Patricia, thank you for your question. I see under Morgan family, if you could please identify who you are, the person who just made the comments.
Yeah, because.
Yep. Oh, sorry. Yep. So my name is Dennis Morgan. My son's at Columbia's son and daughter, Columbia Secondary School. So I'm sorry, I'm to be incognito. Having done a lot of this work before on PTAs and for the CEC for 7 years in District 3, I've been through a number of conversations with the SCA and schools and families when we're trying to get playgrounds opened. So it's a little bit of a nuanced case in that when I first started doing this, it wasn't immediately a parks project once it was turned over by the SCA, the School Construction Authority. So usually the people we can sort of go to, usually the CEC can help with that. Sometimes it helps to put some pressure on our elected officials who helped to fund this. There was money from them that was brought in and was involved, and we're not getting what we want. It's going to be a lot easier to get them to move the levers and the mechanisms that we need in order to get the SCA to move and finish this project. Usually that punch list item is, I think someone put in the chat that there's some small items some of the time. Sometimes they're small, sometimes they're big. I don't know, they're not easily accessible. The SCA is a very difficult group to work with. All right, I'm going to let you go.
Thank you.
Wanted to share.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. We're going to go ahead and call the three.
Comment actually.
Our chair, Victor Edwards is.
Hey,
going to
Matt, how
speak.
are you? Thanks for showing up. I was hoping Steve Simon would be here as well. I'm actually a little disappointed he has not shown. I've been getting emails all week, probably a week and a half now, from the parents, all three schools. I met with Mark Levine earlier last week. He has sent a email to Schools Construction Authority. I also met with Sheena Wright, the mayor's office, and spoke with Sean Abreu just yesterday. My question here is, the plans for the park being questioned, who has use of the park? Now, do you decide that once it's turned over, or do you have a plan for how it's going to be used now? To me, it would seem a little out of place for you wait to be turned over to decide how the park's going to be used and who has access to it. So during the day, will it be full access to three schools? And after 3 o'clock, who will have access to that park?
So how jointly operated parks work is the school has sole access during the school day. And after school is out of session, or on the weekend and holidays, the site's opened up to the public.
So you said
the follow-up was breaking up. What was your follow-up?
Victor, repeat your question, please.
Victor, if you can hear this, Community Board 9's feed is frozen from our view. We can't hear anything coming out. Do we have another subcommittee board member that's not in the room? It looks like they just dropped. They can keep us moving.
We won't be able to keep it moving without the co-chairs involved, but I am texting people in the room so that we can get going. Thank you everyone for your patience. As soon as I have a reply, I'll let everybody know.
Hey, Matt, not to jump over things, but I've had some experience working with parks. I think you folks are fantastic. Can you identify for everybody on the call, who's Anthony Carrion? And how does he align in the park leadership structure, specifically for Manhattan? Because that's a big lever to pull. But it might be one people.
Anthony Carrion was previously on Parks and Landmarks and resides in, well, if he still resides in Harlem, he was part of Parks and Landmarks on CB9 previously.
He was a chair for, he was basically the chair, similar to what Heather is for this board.
Yes.
Heather and Annette. Yeah.
Not Anthony Carrion and Jonathan Thomas. I'm thinking maybe it's the wrong name. Who's the Parks Manhattan Parks chairman? Anthony something.
Are you thinking you're thinking of the Parks Borough commissioner? Each borough has a borough commissioner. So our current
We're having a little technical difficulty, everyone. Please bear with us. I hope everyone's mic back on.
We're here. We're waiting for you.
Let that man say who the borough commissioner is, please.
We have parents that are scheduled to speak from each school. So we're gonna let them speak. And then we will.
Recording in progress.
Oh.
All right, so I think now that so our current borough commissioner is Anthony Perez. With the caveat, though, he is going to be unfortunately leaving Parks and working for another agency. So we will be without a borough commissioner until they replace him. I believe either this or the following week is his last week with parks, unfortunately.
Well,
So we dropped while I was asking my question. My question was, Matt, is there a plan for usage after 3 o'clock? Or is that made up after it's handover from the school construction authority? What's the process there?
So the process at this moment, which I know the school has requested for additional use outside of the JOP hours. So I don't know where that stands with parks and our permitting office, but with a normal JOP, after school is dismissed, the park and field as a whole would be open to the public. Granted, the school, when the site is made available, the school will be able to apply for permits for use for the field.
So you need permits for after 3, is that what you're saying? If you want to use it after 3, you have to have a permit?
If you want to have it organized, like organized sports, if just random people want to come in and use a site, no. But if you want to do like an organized game, if you wanted to have an organized soccer game, and you wanted priority on the field, you would need to apply for a permit.
All right.
I have a question.
Okay.
And,
Okay. And we're not taking questions yet. Go ahead, Annette, and call.
Okay, Matt, thank you.
It's a reference to that permit.
Thank you so much, Matt.
Okay,
let them
Matt,
have questions, Heather.
No,
Heather?
she has a specific way she's running this, Ms. Caldwell, so let them run
Ms.
it.
Caldwell, thank you, everyone. Ms. Caldwell is one of our committee members. What we're going to do next, Matt, thank you. Although you're under fire, we don't necessarily mean to shoot the messenger, but the common goal is for our kids to get access to that playground, and parents don't play when it comes to the children, right?
Yes.
So I think we can agree that whoever the point persons were before, they obviously are not making themselves accessible. The parks needs to change whoever that person is. The school's construction authority, if they haven't assigned a person already, they need to assign another one. And they must keep these parents in the loop. Okay, and that's not happening, and it's feeding the frenzy, and that is why 100 people are on this call today. So if you can take that back, because you're diligently at our meetings every month, this way we won't have to burn you at the stake because you're the only man standing in the room. Is that something you think you'll be able to do for us so we can create some real dialogue?
Of course, I've added that to my notes to take back to our borough office and agency.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
So much for that. So what we have next are three parents from each school. They know who they are. For the sake of moving the agenda along, they're being allotted 3 minutes to speak. I will state the names. I have here Janice Soriano, Danielle Hartley, and Maria Tucker. Ms. Soriano, you're first, and the others just can follow accordingly. We thank you all for coming to share your concerns.
Good evening, members of the Landmarks Preservation and Parks Committee. My name is Janice Soriano, co-president of the PTA, a parent of a Bright Columbia School secondary student. We are here to address the ongoing issue of our closed schoolyard. Our beloved building at 425 West 123rd Street, originally built for the Lincoln School in 1922 and later housing PS 125, has a legacy spanning a century. Notably, even though our school resides here, the Department of Parks and Recreation owned the land not the DOE. Over the years, the school's student population has expanded with the inclusion of Kipstar Middle School and Columbia Secondary School. Today, the building houses an overwhelming 1,325 students. This surge in the student body makes the availability of open spaces like our schoolyard even more crucial. Our schoolyard is jointly operated playground. After lengthy planning, the asphalt schoolyard underwent renovation on spring 2022. Yet here we are with our children still awaiting its reopening. Despite evident completion, the renovated schoolyard remains closed without any explanation or timelines for the DPR or SCA, leaving us parents in the dark. Our nursing staff, who cares for all three schools, have sounded their alarm on a disturbing trend, a spike in injuries directly linked to the lack of space. Lacerations requiring emergency intervention, such as a student needing stitches. The status quo is dangerous. Operating with limited space shared among three schools is a recipe of such unfortunate events. Our school nurses are pleading for certain action. The continued closure of the schoolyard is not only an inconvenience, but now a significant hazard to our students' well-being. While debates about playground operating hours have their place, the immediate urgency is its reopening. The lack of space is not just inconvenient, but a safety concern. Parents, teachers, and now our school nurses are united in their call for transparency and action. We urge this committee to prioritize our children's safety and well-being. I urge this board to prioritize this issue. Our children deserve an open space to play, learn, and grow. The continuous closure of the schoolyard without any valid explanation or timeline is unacceptable. Thank you for your attention, and I hope we can find a swift solution for the benefit of our students.
Thank you, Ms. Soriano. Ms. Hartman, you're up next.
And again, if everyone would please sign into the chat, we may have lost part of the chat before, so please sign your name, your affiliation, and your contact information so we can stay in touch with you.
Great.
And again, sorry for that technical difficulty, but everyone, please make sure that you re-sign into the chat. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the platform where CSS MPS 125 parents can voice our concerns, and I hope there's some KIP parents in here as well. This is our school play yard at this shared campus with over 1,000 families. So this is a very big part of our neighborhood, a very big part of our community, and construction lasted for a long time, understandably. But now with construction seemingly complete and having seen no large movement in the park for some time now, parents are left wondering what's going on. There's been no transparency. At more of the school leadership, PTA, admin level, effective, informative communication between our representatives and Parks Department, SCA, DOE, all of that has stopped. Maybe 2 months. We've received no emails in return from inquiries going out. No communication. So it feels very much like we are shut out of the conversation. The biggest thing for the parents on this call is that the playground is open. Matters of control are far secondary. We just want the gates opened. And as I'm so appreciative that you're here, Matt, with the park, with the schoolyard being on Parks land, even if it's a CSA issue, am I getting the acronym right? School Construction Authority, yeah, CSA issue. Even if it's a CSA issue or holdup, it seems with it being on Parks land that I'm hoping that the Parks Department can apply pressure. We have contacted elected officials. As one gentleman stated earlier, the elected officials have been contacted, and SCA, to my understanding, which is limited, builds these playgrounds to Parks Department specifications. And so hopefully that these conversations have already been happening between SCA and Parks Department. And we would, as a school community and parents, greatly appreciate pressure being applied and doing all you can in your power to move this along, even if it is more on the end that you're saying it's kind of out of Parks' hand at the moment, is what I'm getting from what you said earlier, or just what the information that was shared with you. With it being on Parks Department land, my hope is that it's important to Parks because it's important to our families. Thanks for your time. That's mostly, we're all the parents and the officials on this call are going to echo the same similar statements of just get the park open. We don't see anything happening. We're not hearing from anyone, and those are our biggest concerns. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing, Ms. Hartley. Up next is Ms. Tucker.
Hi, I hope you can hear me. I'm sorry, I'm at my son's baseball game and it's a little windy. Yes, as Danielle mentioned, I am echoing all the same sentiments. The building itself is extremely overcrowded. There are over 1,300 students who go to school there on a daily basis in a space that was meant for 500. So our outdoor space is of the utmost priority. In addition to that, the ages of the students range from 4-year-olds in pre-kindergarten to high school students. So there, excuse me, there really is a need for more outdoor space, more space for physical activity that is appropriate for a wide range of students. And the fact that there has been not only no transparency, but actively not responding to not just us as parents, but the school leaders. The school leaders have been reaching out to these various departments and agencies and not getting responses. This is not a question of people not being proactive or not, making their voices heard. We have all been reaching out to the same officials, both at SCA and Parks, and no one is getting back to us. And I agree and will echo what Danielle mentioned that, whoever needs to sign off, everything should have been done pre-construction. So if there are things that need to be resolved at this point, then they should be resolved in after hours. Open the park, limit the use to whatever issues still need to be addressed, but kids will only be out there supervised during the day. So let our students, let our schools use that space and then figure out what else needs to get done to finalize and finish the punch list, because it's getting really this would never happen in a different neighborhood. So I just don't think that there's any reason why this has to continue to be delayed and why all of us as a community are getting shut out of whatever the conversations that are taking place around why this delay continues to go on, why there's no communication. So I just would, again, echo all the sentiments that have already been stated, that we need explanations and we need that space open.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, Annette.
Thank you, Ms. Tucker. We also have Mina White from Mark Levine's office, our borough president. Mina, are you able to add something in reference to where our elected official stands on this issue? Mina, are you there?
Are there any other elected officials on the Zoom right now? We invited.
Hello. I'm sorry.
Any elected officials?
Mina is there.
Okay, go ahead, Mina.
Nina's talking.
Go ahead, Mina.
Sorry, I'm also in another board meeting, but I'm happy I did join on this call. And just to reiterate just the concerns, the borough president, as I said in the chat, I'm not sure if everyone saw, but he did submit a letter to the School Construction Authority, SCA, as well as the Parks Department, because there is a lack of transparency. We all agree. A lack of transparency and seems like a lot of bureaucracy and poor communication. So that letter was submitted on October 12th. Our office too has not yet received an update. I hope by this week I can get something more or by next week, but I know that we're well into the school year and this is a need for parents of all 3 schools. We know that space is paramount and limited in Manhattan, especially. But I'm just listening in. Unfortunately, I know our office does not have an update yet, but I do want you all to know that our president did submit a letter formally to SCA and Parks. And as soon as we get an update, I'll make sure to let you know.
Thank you so much. We also invited our Congressman Espaillat to the call. Is anyone from Espaillat's office on? Or from our city council? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, those are the parents that spoke. I think everyone here is in agreement. We would like to have this done like yesterday for our kids to have access. As Mina mentioned, the dialogue, the communication, all of it is lacking. And I just want to commend all of you for coming together. We're just gonna have to keep knocking at the door. Hope.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I thought you were closing and Shanika had her hand up and, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Shanika. Go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, and I appreciate that, April. Thank you. I just wanted to, I just wanted to very quickly say that I want the parents just to know I can't tell anyone how to feel, but I noticed in the chat there's some like back and forth. I want you all to know, and this is really important, that in this issue you're gonna have to stick together. Whatever issues you have as different schools, try to put aside and make an effort to stick together. If they can divide and conquer, I promise you they will. And if they can promise one school something in lieu of giving up what they may have plans that we don't know about. As our community becomes more and more developed and more invested or interested investors come uptown, specifically to CB9 because of our waterfront property, because we've got Columbia University, because we are a prime piece of real estate. As more of those companies and organizations make their way uptown, there will be some exclusionary tactics happening. We've seen it happen in other parts of Manhattan. We've seen it happen. There's a waterfront in the Bronx that was redone. It was a public park. Now suddenly it's not a public park. It's very important to try to stick together. You may have your differences as parents of different schools. It's not your fault that you are all lumped together. I want you all to know that we are very aware that you're lumped together. YEL, Youth Education Libraries Committee, has been harping on the fact that you're lumped together for a very long time and doing everything that we can to make noise about it. But if you can stick together on this topic, we will also do our best to update you. But this may be something that someone mentioned that now it's all politics. It may have been politics from the beginning and we didn't know. I'm just sort of thinking. So I'm not saying anything. I don't know anything. I'm just simply saying that it's important to keep your eyes on the prize. The next thing I just want to say, Oh, I'm sorry. I thought somebody said something.
Go ahead,
And then the
Shanika.
last thing I just wanted to say was that I noticed that the congressman wrote a letter. We appreciate it. And the Manhattan Borough president wrote a letter. But as the parents see, there's still no response, even to those elected officials. So it's going to take a lot more than just this one meeting. And I hope that you're all ready. We'll be there with you. I certainly know myself and Deirdre will be there with you. And Annette and Heather will be riding with you as well. So just try to be patient with us. And that's all. I hope everyone has a good night.
Shanika, thank you so much. Can I jump in real quick? This is Yael Leopold,
Thank
principal
you.
at PS
Thank you always for
125.
your help, Principal. Thank you.
Can I jump in?
We're gonna move the agenda forward.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I just have to give all my love to the CB9 community. All of you are amazing. You're supporting our campus on a daily basis behind the scenes. We really appreciate you. Huge shout out. I want you to see that all three of our schools and families come out when it has to do with the betterment of children. And that is our focus at all times and the community. So huge shout out to our families who are on this call on a Wednesday night. I also want to say thank you to Matt. Matt, I've had a great relationship with you as the principal of the Ralph Bunche School up until this point, of course, where it's been a little contentious with our situation, but I do want to thank you for being the messenger for Parks today. I did want to clarify a few things really quickly. One, we have also sent a letter as stated to Parks and to SCA for clarity just on why we have not been included in communication for the last few months. I do appreciate the transparency, Matt, for you sharing that a visit was made about a week and a half ago to the site. but I want everyone to be clear that we were not invited to that meeting. We were not notified of the meeting happening. And that has been our ask this whole time. We understand that with SCA, things take time. What we are asking though is for full transparency and to be part of the communication, which has not been happening. In addition, I also want to clarify and state that it is very important for the community to know that anybody can fill out a permit after school hours. And historically, in communities like ours, the people who have been granted permits for spaces in community like ours have not served the community. To put it very bluntly, whatever groups have gotten the permits have not made it so that our children in our community, historically marginalized communities, have had those programs accessible to them, whether it's a cost barrier, an accessibility barrier, and things like that. And so part of our demands as a school campus has been to have control of the permitting after hours as well, so that we can ensure and continue to work with CB9, CB10, the community at large, to ensure that whoever is utilizing that space after hours is doing so for the betterment of the community. That includes weekends as well. I'm also in full agreement that our first priority is to open up the space, and all of those other conversations can happen during that time and after. But as the principal, one of the principals of our campus, I can just agree with everybody that space is extremely tight. And to have this beautiful space next to our school that we have fought so hard for. And I heard someone mention that the construction has been over a year, but the actual process to get this space has been almost 5 years in the making. So this community has waited even almost past the time some of our children have graduated from the school to get this space to be able to use. And that is why it is so important for us to have this space opened as soon as possible. So again, I'll just leave you with my much thanks for the administrators of CSS and KIPP. We've been working hard together. I see Erin is on the call. Thank you so much, Erin, for being here as well. We are working hard on our end. The teachers are working hard on their end. Our families, as you see tonight, are showing up. Our community leader, CB9, is showing up. We just need everybody else who aren't part of our immediate community to show up as well for the betterment of children or for our community as a whole. I'm here, our campus is here, the administrators are here waiting to speak to Parks or SCA whenever they're ready to speak. And one last thing I'll add, because I know I'm taking a lot of time here, is that historically, that space, and somebody asked, before it became this beautiful playground, it was pavement. There was never a battle for space when it was pavement. There was no meeting at CB9 with people fighting over the space. There was no meeting or feeling of not having communication, because there was never a problem of access for our community when it was just pavement. Now that it's a beautiful space, we're having these issues. I say all that to say, I want our children in our community to have the benefits that many other communities and neighborhoods have without the fight that we're having to do. So thank you for the time, CB9, appreciate you all.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we thank all of you guys for being here. We're gonna move the agenda along. This issue is ongoing, and we're all gonna work together to make sure that our children get the access that they deserve.
And we ask that, if you could please stay with us, because we have some, additional very important information to share with the community. So please hang on with us for a few minutes as we move the agenda forward. Let's go ahead then with the New York City Parks Green Thumb Community Gardening Program. And it's my understanding that there is a community garden right adjacent to the building that we're speaking of, PS 125 and Playground 125. So go ahead, is Alex, do we need to have you share your screen?
Yes, I'll share my screen in a second. Let me get that loaded up, and while I do so, I just need screen sharing enabled for me,
Alex,
please.
while you're sharing that screen, you have representatives from Green Thumb in person. Can you guys, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Jindu Obasi, and I'm a community engagement coordinator with the Green Thumb program. We're a citywide community gardening program, a division of the Parks Department, and here in MCB9 we have 9 community gardens. And so my job is to meet with community residents and those in the greening community and make sure that our public spaces are actually accessible to them and that they're able to have a say in the direction of the community spaces. So I'm very delighted to be here tonight, and anybody who's interested and wants to find out more information on how they can be involved, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. And if you could just repeat your name again loudly, because for everyone.
Okay, I'm sorry. Jindu Obasi. Jindu Obasi.
And your affiliation to the Green Thumb program?
I'm a community engagement coordinator.
Okay, thank you
For
so much.
gardens and community gardens.
Okay, go ahead, Alex. Okay, we see your screen. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so much. And I'm glad you got injected in person. Apologies that I am Brooklyn based. It's a little bit far from me here in Kensington. But Green Thumb, the community garden program of the New York City Parks Department. We support more than 550 community gardens across the entire city. So I'm just gonna do a quick overview of Green Thumb as a whole, including a spotlight on hello back to some of the Gatehouse Garden members. I know who said hi in the chat. Always nice to see you. So Green Thumb's the official community garden program of the Parks Department. We were founded in 1978 and our division of NYC Parks. So we're the largest urban gardening program in the US, possibly further than that. And our mission is to support and educate community gardens and urban farming across the 5 boroughs. We provide free materials, technical assistance. We've got 3 main teams I'm going to run through very quickly. So the community engagement team is the one I head up and that Agendu is a member of. There are 9 community engagement coordinators divided up across the city by geography. So they each support roughly 55 to 60 community gardens, which are all volunteer groups. And there's 1 community engagement coordinator who handles gardens on NYCHA properties, which is a new partnership that we have. And they help connect to the public to local community gardens and help these groups be volunteer-run spaces, very much hewing to a grassroots ethos. The gardens were claimed and preserved by people before we became any sort of city agency. Our operations team are our boots on the ground team. They do the heavy lifting, including supply deliveries. I definitely saw some community gardeners this Saturday in Harlem picking up supplies from the Manhattan Community Board 9 gardens, including preparations for winter supplies. They also handle property management as well as doing deliveries, topsoil, wood chips, lumber, etc. And then we have a planning and programs team doing all sorts of special events, including the Harvest Fair, which is unfortunately rained out, our annual Green Thumb Grow Together conference, Open Garden NYC, as well as helping with special capital allocations from local elected officials, including for internal water, as well as overseeing our marketing and branding. So the Green Thumb website, the link is there, has a searchable map, or you can be guided to a small little pop-up of each of the 550 community gardens, including the open hours. I do want to stress the garden season officially runs from April 1st until yesterday, October 31st. So most of our gardens have gone dormant and quiet for the winter time. There are some gardens that are still doing some activities. There are some that do like beautiful Christmas displays. And there are some gardens with chickens that still have a little bit of activity going on and keeping the ladies fed. I'm going to touch upon one of those specifically in a moment. But you can go to, like I said, our website and that searchable map, and that includes contact information for garden groups that have been able to provide it to us. And then we encourage people to join their community garden. Every garden is different. They have a grassroots governance style, membership procedures. We give a requirements of bylaws and making sure that there's transparent ways for people to join. Membership can vary. It can look very different. Gardens that require a lot of members. Behind me in my virtual background is a site in East New York, which this was a huge amount of vacant land. It's now more of an urban farm now. So the membership requirements there are different than a lot of people tending plots and a small time commitment, but it can vary dramatically, including some folks who basically apprenticeship an entire season. And I think you heard from Riverbank Safe Harbor, which is not registered with us yet, although I just emailed Leslie as a sidebar, where there's a 2-year waiting period on garden beds. So we have everything across the board imaginable in this amazing city of ours as far as what membership can look like for gardens. So in Manhattan 9, we have 15 Green Thumb community gardens. 7 are officially on Parks Department property, where we're the property manager, essentially the landlord, and there's a 10-year license agreement that's signed. And we're responsible for things like retaining walls and fencing, and we can install bigger things like sheds. 3 are with the Manhattan Land Trust, 2 are at the New York Restoration Project. Both those land trusts are free to pick up supplies from us, order supplies from us. 1 is on NYCHA with that partnership I talked about. 1 is Department of Environmental Protection, but it is in cooperation with us, where we also have property management responsibility. And then we have that jointly operated playground, which will be impacted by the School Construction Authority project. I am not fully versed on the details of that, but we were just starting to get information about that just a few weeks ago. And unfortunately, one of our vacancies at Green Thumb is a property management position. So I did want to do a quick spotlight on One Green Thumb Garden in Manhattan 9, and having read the agenda in advance, I picked Gatehouse Garden. Again, hello to any Gatehouse gardeners in the room or joining virtually. Wonderful, amazing garden group that is close to my heart. I freely admit I was a resident of the area during my undergraduate days. So it's 1195 Amsterdam Avenue, 119th Street. Very active and engaged group that has been doing more and more every season to try to engage the community. They have the most diplomatic ambassadors in the world, pictured here, 2 of their chickens, also included on their sandwich board there as well. And they do things like their annual summer solstice celebration. They're definitely a garden that raises the bar, it seems, every year in terms of reaching out to the community, getting folks involved, trying to have more activities. There was even a discussion for a while about trying to run a community fridge and trying to really balance that against, do we have the ability to manage this or not? So I commend Gatehouse Garden on engaging the community, being thoughtful and intentional about it, and just running a wonderful, wonderful space. And their contact information is there on the left as well. And then Jen Duabasi, who some of you get to meet in person, is our community engagement coordinator for the area of Manhattan 9. I just realized my own little bar is going to block some things. The action shot in the bottom right corner is Jen Du working with some youth from the Department of Probations, helping to do some on-the-ground work at a garden, including building some raised beds there. So his full contact information's there, and helps all of the gardens in Manhattan 9 that are registered or licensed with us, including overcome conflict issues, helping them try to recruit members, plan for the season, and try to meet our Green Thumb requirements, including open hours, 20 or more each week during the season, 2 or more free public events, and maintaining those open pathways to membership. And I'm available for any questions as well. We do have a survey, State of Green Thumb Gardens, that we're just starting to advertise and put out to folks, but I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go to the chat now so I can see any questions in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. If you could please email your slide presentation to the community board, to Annette and myself, Heather, Jason, we would greatly appreciate that. So
Absolutely.
are there, do we have any questions? Any questions for Alex?
I see a question in the chat. Does NYC Parks alone maintain the Green Thumb Gardens from October to March? No, we don't. We do support the volunteer groups in doing so. This question's from Davison Avery of M362 Columbia Secondary. We just had this winter supply distribution on Saturday, so I got to see a number of the groups from the area picking up things like calcium chloride. I believe Guy picked up for Gatehouse Garden and somehow maneuvered calcium chloride and tools like an ice chopper using his scooter. I hope he survived the experience. Looked perilous to me, but the groups pick up items like that. We gave out snow brushes this year, electric rechargeable ones for the first time ever to try to deal with snow. And we do give out snow, as well as boxes with trash bags to deal with windblown trash as well. And it's expected the volunteers will still go out. And I agree. Shout out to Danielle for tireless support and work for the garden. Thanks, Danielle. It's good to see you on here as well. Always happy to highlight you folks and everyone who's involved with the garden. And yeah, I agree. Thank you to Agenda as well. And shout out to Tony from Harlem Grown for their support. Yes, Harlem Grown is a great, great ally, nonprofit active with several different Green Thumb community gardens. Also, it's great seeing staff from Harlem Grow pick up supplies for 4 of their gardens on Saturday as well. I think I got the questions in the chat.
Thank you for your presentation. As I mentioned in the communications that we shared, Heather and I had an opportunity to visit Sugar Hill and Edgecombe, both beautiful gardens. And we're just curious to know, because we understand that there was a change of leadership at Sugar Hill. And what is the protocol that is in place when that happens, since we're in the business of building community and we need all hands on deck? What does that look like from an administrative position for you guys?
Let me start with saying gardens on Parks property. So there's 7 that I highlighted, including both Sugar Hill and Edgecombe. They're preserved as parks as open space. It requires what's called an alienation of parklands. There was that whole article up in the press about the cricket courts up in the Bronx, etc., which got nixed. So they do stay as gardens as much as we can make that happen, and public open space. So Sugar Hill is back. It is active and operational. Agendu was just there for the Halloween festivities. I think both gardens were participating in yesterday from the photos I saw. A number of children trick-or-treating yesterday. Apologies that I couldn't actually make it out for that yesterday. I was hoping to. I do love a good bit of trick-or-treating. But Sugar Hill has a new group that is increasingly active in trying to get folks in space. Anytime a garden group isn't able to maintain a space, there's a severe violation of the license. There's an accumulation of other violations of the license agreement. And I'm happy to send a copy of the license to the community board as well. If the license is ever terminated, as happened in this case, Green Thumb works to gather community members in to make sure that there's a robust group, to make sure that there is a new community garden group able to meet the requirements of the license agreement, and that's open to anyone to want to join, which can include in several cases previous where licenses have been terminated in other community boards, the previous members of the garden as well. There's no restriction that says, you know, Alex was a community gardener, I'm going to make up this case because it did happen. Alex was the primary contact and there was a violation and led to termination of the license. Alex is still allowed to come back and join as a member, and there should be pathways for him to come in and join as a member.
And I understand that you're saying even when there is a change of leadership, that they are the previous people that were in place are allowed to come back. But my interest is more to whoever those existing stewards are at the time, what tools and practices are in place to bring them up to par? What are the procedures to make sure that every opportunity is given to them to
Be successful.
To be successful?
That's a great question. We're increasingly looking at the data that we collect, including from asking gardens to submit their public open events. Like the Gatehouse example, we know that they're having more than the 2 required public events. They are submitting the open hours, as well as looking through the pattern of complaints. So my team is then able to follow up and point out, oh, hey, Alex, you haven't done 2 or more required public events, or you still haven't submitted your hours. We can work with you. We can meet you in the middle to recruit more members. We can work with you to come up with some event planning, and as well as to host open garden events, or maybe even a workshop, or anything else to try to get people in. But realizing like garden group has to be willing to take in those members. They have to be willing to provide pathways for new members of the community, and not just restricted by geography to come in and maintain the space. Usually the answer for a lot of things as far as the gardens challenges they're facing is have more members, have it easier for members to come in and help maintain the space. My team's definitely willing to work with folks, and we can even provide through the Parks Department translation support. We have a number of Spanish speakers on staff, and we can even get documents including about the license agreement or anything else, or help do meetings. We've done some in Brooklyn with, I believe, 3 interpreters doing simultaneous translation to try to get a cohesive group together and help onboard new members. We also have a wealth of workshops as far as training that my counterparts of the planning and programs team do, as well as a very active YouTube that collects a number of all of our webinars and training series.
So for the sake of transparency and just moving this meeting along, there were some concerns. And it's not necessarily something that probably needs to be discussed in this open forum. So what I would like to inquire is if yourself or Agenda offline, can we have conversations and create some dialogue and a meeting about what that looks like?
Absolutely,
Okay.
I'm more than happy to. I'll email you after this with a copy of the presentation, include Agendu, and I'll try to include a copy of the license agreement in the handbook, and we can take that as a first step.
Okay, so if Agenda doesn't show up for work tomorrow, just know he was kidnapped.
I appreciate it.
And community gardens is one of our focus, areas for this year. So we really would like for you to engage the community board and let us know how we might be able to get the word out to increase participation in community gardening throughout our community board. We would really appreciate that. So please let us know how we can be of assistance.
Absolutely. And I'm going to make sure to message all the community garden primaries and secondary contacts about the next meeting in early December and invite them to attend because they're residents of the board and they should be connected with community boards as well. And I can see this is a very active and welcoming and great community. So kudos.
Yes.
Yeah, and now that we have the list, we visited two, we're gonna take the time to get to each one of them over the next year, since we know where they are. So thank you for sharing that with us, and we'll talk offline.
We'll take one quick question from Shannon, very quick, because we have to move on to our third presentation. Very quickly.
I was just gonna say with our dog run relationship under the Riverside Park Conservancy with Jenny's Garden, which I understand is also a green thumb garden, it may fall under the supervision of Egendu. As with other groups like Friends for Morningside and Friends for St. Nick's, maybe Egendu can become a regular part of this meeting monthly to provide updates for Green Thumb as to the gardens that are in this district.
Yeah. He just pulled you in, Agenda. He said maybe you could possibly become part of our meetings monthly to give us.
Yes,
In person or and
yes.
Flavor online.
Yeah, we should appreciate that. Definitely online.
A lot of positive things happening.
Yes. Yes, you are one of our priorities.
Thank you, Shannon.
Okay, so we're going to move the agenda along. We have another very special presentation. Why Section 106 reviews of Link 5G cell towers matter to our community board historic district. We have Rick Meyer. Rick, if you have any slides to share, I've made you a co-host, so please feel free to share and introduce yourself. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, I'm on mute, so I had to turn it off. Heather, thank you so much, and I'm delighted to be here with you this evening. And I want to thank all of you for your interest in Community Board 9 for the parks and issues relative to historic preservation, because there are so many unique historic properties in your neighborhood, in your community board. Some of those have been officially recognized not only by the State Landmarks Commission, but also City Landmarks Commission, but also by the federal government. And I wanted to talk about something that is a major issue that's coming your way. It has not affected your community board much yet. It has affected other community boards significantly, particularly out in Queens, particularly down in Community Board 3 in Southern Manhattan, and some other community boards in Manhattan. But it is coming your way, and it's something to be aware of. And you've got one of these towers that we're going to be talking about. I have some photographs to show you already set up in Manhattan, in Community Board 9 in Manhattan, and we can take a look at that. Now, am I sharing my screen already? Can you see it?
No, you have to.
Right, I have to hit the share function here.
Share screen.
Yeah.
And then select your presentation.
Yeah, and share that. There we go.
It's coming up now. Great.
Yeah, is it coming up? All right.
Yes.
So anyway, I am Rick Meyer, and I have been involved in helping community advocates in achieving fair, safe, transparent regulation of wireless facilities for the last 6 years. I currently live in Delaware, having retired officially, and I'm now a resident of Delaware. But for the last 40 years, I've been in the Washington, D.C. area. Before that, for 5 years, I lived in Manhattan on both the Upper West Side and on the Upper East Side. And I've been involved in the insurance industry and also as a trade association executive. But as I said, for the last 6 years, predominantly helping with regulatory issues regarding wireless. We're going to talk about a thing called Section 106 reviews, which is a very specific set of federal regulations that allow for the review of new wireless towers, new wireless equipment. when that equipment abuts or is within a certain area of historic districts and historic properties. And as I mentioned to you, you have plenty of them in New York City. That picture right there is an old Titan payphone. And what happened a few years ago was that ultimately a company that was acquired by Google, of all folks, out in Silicon Valley, got the rights to all the footprints for payphones in Manhattan and all 4 or 5 boroughs of New York City. And those payphones disappeared and they were replaced by these. You've seen them everywhere. You probably haven't paid much attention to them. They are the Link NYC kiosks, and a very unique business model that was going to bring mass advertising and some internet connectivity, Wi-Fi connectivity to pedestrians in New York City. That contract, which lasted from 2016 all the way up to 2021, ultimately saw the construction of 1,816 kiosks all over New York City, but interestingly enough, most of them in Manhattan, most of them below 96th Street. And even with the ignoring the outer boroughs and over concentrating these devices, they are scattered pretty significantly around New York City, certainly through Manhattan, but around New York City. We're going to get to where they are in CB9 in just a minute. However, the company ran into huge financial difficulties and was $60 million. It's hard to believe you could get $60 million behind in payments to New York City. But by the end of the original term, the contract was renegotiated. And what was renegotiated was a complete retooling of the business model. And what they decided they were going to start to do was to replace these little 10-foot devices. I don't know if you can see my arrow or not. That's the Link, the original Link kiosk. It's about 10 feet tall. They're replacing them with 32-foot tall towers on sidewalks all over New York. So anywhere there had been a Titan payphone, which originally was a 9X payphone, and then a Titan payphone, then a kiosk, and they're now ripping those kiosks out and putting in these gigantic towers. What they are comprised of is in the upper portion, it's about 15 feet, 19 feet above ground. The remaining 15 feet, or how much is it? 14 feet, I guess, is filled with wireless telephony equipment that is meant to be able to allow Verizon, T-Mobile, Dish Networks, whoever it is that wants to provide wireless coverage in a area or a wide area of New York City can have these devices. They can be as close, and in fact, they already are in some instances, they can be as close as 10 feet to your windows. So if you are unlucky enough to live in an apartment building or a brownstone or wherever that happens to abut a sidewalk, that device can come 32 feet up right to your window, and it's on 24/7, 365 days out of the year. So as you might imagine, a lot of people got very concerned about those devices and started to yell and scream. And I'm going to get to what happened with that. But first, I'm showing you a diagram of a portion, just a portion of CB9, a map of a portion of CB9. This comes from the New York City Open Data Database. Everywhere you see a blue dot, that is a kiosk, the 10-foot kiosk that's already been put up, already installed. And so every one of those spots in CB9, and this is only a portion of CB9, every one of those spots can now house one of those 32-foot towers. And in CB9 alone, there are 85 of those kiosks already. So that means that the potential is there for up to 85 of those 32-foot towers in your community board. I'm not sure that all of them will be converted to that because unfortunately, our dear friends at City Bridge, which is the entity that has the contract for the conversion now, hasn't disclosed all of their future plans. But here's some numbers that will kind of make you stand up and ask what the heck is going on here. there are going to be 2,184 if their plans go forward and if they are successful in this business model. They weren't in the first, but if they're successful in this business model, 2,184 of these things scattered around the 5 boroughs of New York City. 739 based on the revised contract that was executed with City Bridge and the Office of Technology and Innovation with the City of New York. 739 will be in what they call underserved districts. The community board directly north of you at the very northern end of Manhattan, I believe that's number 12, that is an underserved district. All the way at the very bottom of Manhattan, Community Board 3, that's another underserved district. Those are the only 2 underserved districts right now in Manhattan, and then the others are out of the other boroughs, Brooklyn, Queens, particularly the Bronx, and then finally Staten Island. I want you to be aware that as of May 2023, to give you an idea of the challenges that City Bridge has had in this conversion, they have been able to install 94 of these towers around New York City. And you may have seen some newspaper articles on them and so forth. As of today, that would mean that City Bridge is behind schedule, behind delivery of what they committed to deliver of 440 units. And mind you, they're on their way to 2,184 in total, but they're already way, way behind. And the reason that they're way, way behind is because, as I mentioned a minute ago, when all of these community activists were screaming and shouting, they got the attention of Jerry Nadler. And Jerry, who's a very powerful person in the House of Representatives, was able to get FCC's attention. And the FCC wrote a letter and said, hey, there is a federal law. It's called, referred to as a Section 106 review, that says that if you are going to build a tower like these, and it's anywhere near a historic district, you have to go through a Section 106 review. And that was pretty much a full stop to the construction schedule of the folks at City Bridge. And they had to go back and do a complete inventory and look around to see where the historic properties are. And there are plenty of them in New York. And then start to go through the Section 106 review process. What happens in the Section 106 review process is, and again, this is only for towers that are near federally designated sites or sites that are eligible for federal designation. If that tower is going to make is going to diminish the integrity of the location, design, setting, materials, workmanship, feeling, or association of a site, or they're going to change the character, including the physical features within the property's setting, which again, in my mind, would be the streetscape that contribute to the historical significance, then there are requirements to mitigate that structure to reduce or diminish the effect, the adverse effect, the actual technical term is the adverse visual effect that those towers would have on that historic building or that historic district or historic resource. There's a few steps in the process. First of all, City Bridge, again, the entity that has the contract, which has been operating recently under the name Bolden Networks, has to register those specific tower sites that they believe are eligible for 106 reviews. There's outreach to local governmental entities such as MCB9 and other historic preservation groups or other groups that might be interested, alerting them to the fact that this site is being reviewed. There is some submission of information. Interesting enough, that information goes to the State Historic Preservation Office, and there has to be a notice published in a local paper. And then there's a grand total of 35 days. That's it, 35 days that the public or the interested entities, CB9, historic preservation groups, other groups have to issue comments. And at which point the State Historic Preservation Office, the New York State Historic Preservation Office, renders a decision and decides whether or not there's going to be any mitigation on that site. Rule number one is that City Bridge will reflexively assert that there are no adverse visual effects. And it's up to you, up to Community Board 9, up to any historic preservation groups, folks that are interested in their communities, their streets, their blocks, whatever it is, that are concerned about a tower, to submit comments and disprove, because unfortunately, the burden of proof is thrown at the community to demonstrate that there's going to be an adverse visual effect. I don't believe you can count on the State Historic Preservation Office, even though I think they're well-intentioned and they're fine people. I think they're going to become overwhelmed by this process very quickly, and they're not going to be able to do the detailed research. So you have to do that. There is a thing called a nomination form that is filled out for each historic resource, a district, a landmark building, whatever it might be. Those forms are a treasure trove of information about the characteristics, the setting, the specific attributes of a structure. And there's also the form that the tower builder, City Bridge, is building, that has got information about the historic landmarks and so on. It's up to you to try to explain why that tower is going to be adversely affecting the feeling, the association, the context of the streetscape around that specific historic district, or it might be an individual building, or it might be a district. And as I'm going to show you in photographs in just a minute, anything that contributes to that context of that setting, lampposts, fencing, benches, walls, fire escapes, fire hydrants, things that you don't think about, but which contribute to the unique historical context of a district or a building, can be very, very important. And in the interest of the time, let me show you probably the most significant thing that might be there, things that might be there, might not be there. Fortunately, over time, and it's very, very difficult to get the city of New York to do this, but fortunately over time, in some neighborhoods, and only historic neighborhoods, the city of New York uses, instead of using their standard stainless steel arched lamp, street light, they have decorative, ornamental, historically appropriate lamps. Here's a type M on the left. There's a bishop's crook on the right. Both of those are present in CB9. I'm going to show you a few examples in just a moment. That thing in the middle, to give you some idea of scale, is the 32-foot tall, 34-inch wide at the top structure. So as you can see, it is substantially bulkier, substantially wider, much greater mass than what you're going to see on a typical streetlight. And of course, it's 5 feet taller than the tallest type N pole that's going to be around there. It's about the same height as a standard city light. So if you, in places where that is, this argument is not as powerful, but where we can find those, it's a very powerful argument. It's also imperative, if you're going to submit comments, that you have historical photographs, illustrations, newspaper clippings, postcards. Historical postcards can be wonderful sources of incredible context for older buildings, older districts, older streets, and to be able to demonstrate why these towers are going to be so negative. Here is the example I was going to tell you about, the only one in CB9 so far. As I say, there's up to 85 more coming for you guys. This one is directly across the street from Columbia University. You can see the yellow shaded area right there. That is an area that has been designated as eligible for National Historic Site listing. It has not been listed yet. There's a pretty neat old building right where that tower is. And then these buildings that are here in green are all Columbia University buildings. Let me just show you a little bit different angle. This tower is on West 118th Street, and Columbia University is all in here. Anything that's in purple is a federally designated building. Some of you that walk around in that area, that's the old Croton Aqueduct Gatehouse, probably one of the oldest structures in New York. Here is the tower. It's already been built. It was built without a Section 106 review. This building, as I mentioned to you a moment ago, is eligible for historic designation. And the Aqueduct building at West 119th Street is the one that's covered in ivy. That's right there. So this particular location already has a lot of reasons why strong arguments could be made that it should be either completely torn out or certainly reduced in scale. But here's your type M light pole, right? Right there. And that's one of the greatest weapons that we can use to show that this thing is completely out of context with the efforts that New York City has already made for that particular section of Broadway up across from Columbia University. Real quickly, looking the other direction, this is looking south, is the Casa Italiana building. This is also a federally designated landmark. And as you can see, that building is, that pole is completely out of context with that building. Unfortunately, in between is this building, this new modern building. So that kind of dashes our hopes on being able to make a strong statement about protecting Casa Italiana. But I still think we can, because right there in that picture, this picture is from 1942, you can see that that type M lamp post, that's also, there's another one right there. There's another one down the street, which I just showed you a minute ago. These are the kinds of things that we would want to emphasize on why that tower is so out of context. Here's a couple more quick examples. This is really for you, Heather. I believe you said that you were lived near 142nd Street. This building is a contributing building within your historic district. This is 142nd and Broadway. You can see there's already a link original kiosk that's right there. And here, and this is my final example, on the other end of 142nd Street, 477 West 42nd Street, this building is not, unfortunately, and I don't know why, it's not listed as a contributing structure in the Hamilton Heights Historic District. It should be in my mind, but as you can see, there is a Link NYC terminal, and there's your type M pole again. I don't know how or why they're so randomly distributed around New York. If you were to go closer to Hamilton's relocated residence, to Hamilton Grange, just a little bit farther down the street, they have the Bishop Crookes pole that I showed you in that illustration a minute ago. So you've got different types of poles in your area. But anyway, I have more slides. I know I've gone over my time limit. I just want you to know that you have a very limited opportunity to stop some of these poles, hopefully by not totally blocking them, hopefully by either having them more appropriately located and minimized. City Bridge has fought tooth and nail to bring in a different design scale for these towers. They would rather just use one size fits all and have the ability to load these things up with 4 or 5 wireless operators and maximize their profits any way they can. So they have not come up with a smaller scale variety of this particular facility. But I know that Heather is raised significant interest in this and wants to try and help. I want you to know you have some allies. There are some other historic preservation groups, particularly in Manhattan, that have weighed in on this. Odette Wilkins is on the call. She is president of an organization called Wired Broadband, and she has been working tirelessly on issues relevant toward regulation of wireless technology in New York, but also on a national basis, because there's some federal legislation, believe it or not, that would seek to try to remove the protections that Section 106 gives to communities like yours who want to protect their historic districts and neighborhoods against intrusive and invasive wireless facilities like these. So Heather, I'll take any questions, but I think I've probably taken too much time, and I, again, really appreciate everybody listening in.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rick, for that presentation. We'll just take 1 or 2 comments or questions, or Odette, if you want to say something, that would be great. And you can stop sharing your screen, Rick. And we'll all right, let me see if I can figure out how to do that.
Just toggle it, just unshare, just go down to the bottom, and it's a toggle command.
Just
Toggle. Yeah, stop sharing there.
Stop
Yeah,
sharing. Yes, Go ahead, Odette, if you have
All
a
right,
comment.
perfect.
Thank you very much. That was an excellent presentation by Rick. Yes, we have a very limited amount of time to do this. And because they've now restarted the process, we had a bit of a reprieve over the summertime. We don't have a reprieve anymore. They have already started advertising in the New York Post, which is required by law. However, we don't know when they started, and for each structure, they're putting the ad in separate boxes, separate ads, and so we don't know how much time we actually have in order to do public comment. So there are comments can be done in two ways. One, you can do a public comment without being a consulting party. The second type is being a consulting party. That means you have a seat at the table. They must consider what you have to say, and they must provide that information also to SHPA, which is the State Historic Preservation Office. And it needs to be robust. Now, we've spoken to, we've been in touch with Landmarks West. They don't have the capacity to really put this, all of this together. So you really need to work with Landmarks West or actually be a consulting party yourselves. And it's best if it's an organization. So it could be the community board, it could be, it could be an organization, but you must be robust in being able to respond with specific reasons as to why the architecture is so important, who did it, what was a streetscape, what was the idea at the time of the urban planning, and that kind of thing. And Rick is really remarkable at that, and I really encourage you to work with Rick on doing that. But this is a one-time opportunity, and this can be the tail that wags the dog. This can actually stop the whole program if this is done correctly. So you have a one-time opportunity. This is not the same thing as the LPC review. That's a totally different review. This has to do with federal law and federal landmarks. If you lose this opportunity, you will not gain it back. So it's now or never, and you don't have much time. And I think you only have maybe a couple of weeks left.
And this committee does have consulting party status. I applied on behalf of the community board for this committee. Okay, so we can comment.
Okay, fantastic. Well, then I encourage you to work with Rick directly, because he knows what this is supposed to look like. And it can't be a cursory statement like, we don't agree with this. You're not going to get anywhere with that. It has to really be a robust analysis of the architectural landscape and the streetscape.
And can you, Odette, just make one quick comment about and you've been to our health committee on several occasions, but for the sake of this committee, if you can just make a brief comment about the health and safety concerns over these towers.
Okay, these towers are going to be very dangerous. It has already been proven to cause cancer in lab animals. That's been proven over and over again. It causes oxidative stress, neurological damage. Children develop ADHD. Children have also developed, from the radiation, you can develop cancer. That has also been established. So these are very dangerous instrumentalities. You're going to have in one tower 5 bays of radiation, 2 5G, 2 4G, and 1 Wi-Fi. I have to tell you that I went to a police lieutenant's house in Astoria, Queens, who was complaining about one 4G antenna that was placed on a utility pole. He was so sick, and that was about 10 feet away from his house. He was so sick, he got heart arrhythmias, he couldn't sleep, he was nauseous, his sister had to move out of the house, and I went to check the levels. The levels were very high, and I have to tell you that within 1 hour of my being in that house, I came back home, I was completely disoriented, and I was projectile vomiting. That's cause and effect, and that was just from one antenna. Imagine 5 bays of antennas, 10 feet or 6 feet or what. There's no setback requirement on this, by the way. It could be 10 feet, 20 feet, it could be 5 feet. If you're that close, you are not, it's going to have quite an adverse impact. It certainly had an adverse impact on me, and it may for others as well. But it's been established science, and also the DC Federal District Court, the DC Circuit Court of Appeals, just under the Supreme Court, ruled against the FCC on its 1996 outdated emission limits for safety because it cited the 11,000 pages of scientific studies that the FCC refused to review, showing effects below their emission limits. And the court sent back the emission limits for their reconsideration, particularly for long-term effects and as it affects children. And the FCC has done nothing right now, absolutely nothing, almost over 2 years later. The other problem is that we now have an avalanche of federal bills that will directly impact what we're doing here. It will virtually eliminate the entire historic preservation review that is now underway in New York City, and it actually expressly prohibits moratoria on these 5G towers. So all the moratoria, all the disapprovals that we've done with all the 16 community boards around New York City will be considered prohibited if this particular law gets passed. So the stakes are very high right now, and right now we really have to be very diligent about getting, showing that these are going to interfere aesthetically, because we believe that the game plan is that City Bridge has not identified all of the locations in your district as to where they want to put them. Rick identified potential areas. The reason being that if they win on just the few towers that are in your district, and if they win and you don't really put up a good substantive fight on this, they may use that as precedent in order to put in all the rest of the towers that they've been planning to put into your district. So your stakes are very high right now, and you really have to you have to provide really good substantive evidence and really good substantive information to show why they're inappropriate for historical preservation purposes.
Thank you so much, Odette. Any other comments or questions? And we will move the agenda along. Was there a question?
I was just wondering what the DOH thought, their thoughts about this, or the health commissioner.
Well, the health commissioner has come out. The only interview that I saw of the health commissioner was that he didn't know anything about 5G and he wasn't able to comment.
Right.
And the Environmental Health Trust did send a letter to or a communication to the health commissioner and asked for their comments, and they never responded.
Thank you so much, Odette. And it looks like we've come to the end of our agenda. If Dan Cohen is on.
Heather, I have one other question. Is DOT involved in this initiative in any way?
Well, yes, they're the ones who are actually doing, I think that they're the ones who are actually doing the construction.
So does it,
what I mean to say is that I think that they have to approve it because it's on the sidewalk, it's on the street, and I think they're involved. I'm not sure exactly how they are involved, but I heard in a public design commission where they were testifying that they were involved in that.
And can you make any comment about how these might be utilized in our parks? Are these going to be distributed or installed throughout any of our parks in our district?
I don't know, but the telecom companies do want to put them in parks as well as in national parks. So we don't know yet. We just don't know. But it would be really important to not give them any precedent to show that, if you failed in one, that they could succeed in putting towers wherever they want. So yeah.
I mean, my comment on, if DOT is involved, if there's community pushback on these, since DOT has some sort of say, or might have some sort of say in where these go and the construction of them, maybe they need to be notified if there's opposition for these towers.
Right. Well, they don't determine where they're supposed to go. It's a telecom industry that determines where they're supposed to go, and they tell City Bridge where they want them to go. But when it was asked in community board meetings, why do they have to go in certain places? They were told that it was considered proprietary information and that the telecom industry is not required to disclose why they are choosing the locations that they're choosing.
Very interesting. So just a quick question. So you're saying, what I'm understanding you to say is it's better to go through the historic district route as opposed to the health route, even though it has a great effect on the health. They're not considering that, they're considering more what it will do to the historic landmark of the community.
Yes, right now your only legal recourse is the aesthetics and historic preservation. It is not health. It is historic preservation, and that's the only thing that they can consider at this point. So you have to really be very rigorous in your analysis and in your research to come up with good arguments.
This is the same people who has 60 million in arrears at NYS with New York
It
City.
was actually 70 million in arrears that the controller found. And it was after that that the city entered into negotiations again with City Bridge and opened up the contract and went in and decided to amend a contract and entered into amendment number 3. I believe it was amendment number 3 dealing with the Link 5G towers.
Okay. Thank you so much. We're is Dan Cohen on? Do you have a comment about the RKO Hamilton Theater if Dan is on? I saw him here. I saw him earlier too briefly. Okay. I didn't see Ewan or Liz or Robert. I knew wasn't going to be here. The others have already discussed. So then I'll take a motion to end the meeting at 8:37 p.m. Second. I make a motion. Is there, okay, so April is, has accepted the motion. Is there a second? Second. Third. Second by Annette. All right. Thank you everyone for coming and for staying on. You know, if you haven't already done so, please email us your presentations. And we will officially end. We did not have a quorum, so we just called the meeting to attention. So thanks everyone so much for coming. And we'll see you again next month, December 6th, at 6:30 p.m. Thank you. Okay, thanks everyone. Motion to adjourn.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a great night. Good night.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, I don't like the camera shy. Right, ready?
Good night, those at the CB9 office. Good night. Travel safe.
Good night.
Good night.
We just, you know, she's like, sorry about that.
Yeah, if I can find out what the, how many is for the bid, I'm sorry. What are the meetings?
Stop the meeting.
We came. That's all I can do, as long as it's not like, it depends on the time of day, of course, like, I don't think it's in the evening. I don't think so, I think that, it sounds like it's gonna be a lot more intensive, which of course, because it's a big deal right now, but I don't think I have the time, unfortunately. But I wish I did. I know. But definitely in terms of
It's a lot.
They want.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Oh, Oh, God.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Send you the PowerPoint in advance so they know. They
I'm
normally
sorry,
do
were
it.
announcements already done? This is Mina from our president's office.
You'll take this to disconnect.
Hello, sorry, I'm on the bus now, but I just wanted to just briefly announce, I put it in the chat earlier in the meeting, but the borough president will be having his day of action this Saturday at 5 locations throughout Manhattan. This Saturday, November 4th from 12 to 3 p.m. Sorry, there's no background since I'm on the bus, but there's a link. I shared the link in the chat. I shared it with Board 9, so you all have that information. And so for those who are interested, there's a sign up sheet. And if you just look up MBPO, Manhattan Borough President's Office, Day of Action, that link should come up. Or if anyone's interested, they can also email me, Mina White at manhattanbp.nyc.gov. So sorry for that.
We sent it out earlier today, but we'll send it out again.
I saw. Thank you for that. I just figured it might be helpful to do it out loud too. But thank you all, and glad that the meeting was robust and we had a packed agenda.
All right, we'll talk.
Okay, is it now?
Yeah.
Thank you. And so this is a community safety.
Yeah.
Where they